Spiritual Gumbo. Road to the Passover. And, in this segment right here, I'll do my best to not get too carried away. But we just have to break down some of the things that just took place. So, first and foremost, everything as the Lord has told Moses is going to happen. He's like, look, I'm going to send you into Pharaoh. You're going to tell him thus and thus. He's going to do thus and thus. And so far, thus and thus has taken place. And more specific, he says, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go so that way we may go sacrifice to the Lord our God. And the Pharaoh says, please, tripping. So pretty much after this, after so many, requests, peaceable like too. And I'm sure they don't sound as peaceable in real life, but we're reading it and it seems as if it was pretty peaceable. And the understanding is that they are trying to afflict the man. Well, the idea is this, is that if Pharaoh has any good sense, the wonders will show him that this is truly the Lord that he's dealing with. Now, it takes up into the fact that they have frogs everywhere, right? For these people to realize that, okay, this isn't normal. You understand what I mean? Like, I'm sure there was high-level sorcerers and magi, all of the sorts back in the day. The Chaldeans are a known race. They are a known race of people for being talented and all of these things. And it's believed that many forms of astronomy and astrology actually seed from them. Not going to get carried away into that. Speaking on these things, though, we have to be circumspect to realize what we're hearing as we hear it. So these spirits that are in charge of each disease, I would contend that they are the angels of the encampment of the Lord, which Jacob saw in his lifetime. Now, once again, we're going to work our way into understanding more and more about the power level of each angel, but I won't discuss that right this moment. There's a review for that. But I just want to break into that so that way it can percolate into your mind. Now, going forth, we leave off, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the dog fly, okay, is where we leave off, and the Lord is telling Moses that I'm going to pretty much differentiate between my people and the people of Egypt. And verse 21. And the dogfly came in abundance into the house of Pharaoh, and into the houses of his servants, and into the land of Egypt. And the land was destroyed by the dogfly. Verse 25. And Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron, saying, go and sacrifice to the Lord your God in the land. We already read this, but I'm going to refresh everyone's mind. And Moses said, it cannot be so, for we shall sacrifice to the Lord our God the abominations of the Egyptians. For if we sacrifice the abominations of the Egyptians before them, we shall be stoned. We will go a journey of 3 days into the wilderness, and we will sacrifice to the Lord our God, as the Lord said to us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, and do ye sacrifice to your God in the wilderness, but do not go very far away. Pray then for me to the Lord. And Moses said, I will go forth from thee and pray to God. And the dogfly shall depart both from thy servants and from thy people tomorrow. Do not thou, Pharaoh, deceive again, as to send the people away to do sacrifice, as so as to not to send the people away to do sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed to God. And the Lord did as Moses said, and removed the dogfly from Pharaoh, and from his servants, and from the people, and there was none left. And Pharaoh hardened his heart, even on this occasion, and he would not send the people away. Now, this is so important that we reestablish this because, most importantly, realize that now it's telling us the land has been destroyed. Okay, so we need to put that into the minds, and then also realize that Moses said that we can't sacrifice in front of the Egyptians. Herders are abominations to them. Remember this, right? So if we do this, it's pretty much going to cause a problem, and they're going to stone us. We'll be dead. So he said, we're not doing that. So after, notice, Pharaoh, two-faced again, after he keeps his word to Pharaoh, goes and prays to the Messiah removes everything, right? Then Pharaoh pulls the sucker butt move. Verse 1 of chapter 9. And the Lord said to Moses, go into Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, these things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews. Send my people away, that they may serve me. If, however, thou wilt not send my people away, but yet detainest them, behold, the hand of the Lord shall be upon the cattle in the fields, both on the horses, and on the asses, and on the camels, and oxen, and sheep, and a very great mortality. And I will make a marvelous distinction in the time between the cattle of the Egyptians and the cattle of the children of Israel. Nothing shall die of all the children of Israel, And God fixed the limit, saying, tomorrow the Lord will do this thing on the land. And the Lord did this thing on the next day. And all the cattle of the Egyptians died. But the cattle of the children of Israel, there died not one. And when Pharaoh saw that all the cattle of the children of Israel, there died not one, the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, take ye handfuls of ashes to the furnace, and let Moses scatter it toward heaven before Pharaoh and before his servants, and let it become dust all over the land of Egypt. And there shall be upon men and upon beasts sore blains breaking forth on men and on beasts, and all the land of Egypt. So he took of the ashes of the furnace before Pharaoh, and Moses scattered it toward heaven, and it became sore blains, breaking forth both on men and on beasts. Now stop right there. The reason why he has Moses to do this is because I do believe, looking at it, he wants to distinguish the power level between Moses and Aaron. It just seems like the most logical thing. If anyone else has anything to say to that, let me know. But I'm convinced, but you can unconvince me and most definitely convince me the other way. Verse 11 of chapter 9. And the sorcerers could not stand before Moses because of the sores. For the sores were on the sorcerers, and in all the lands of Egypt, and in all the land of Egypt. And the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he hearkened not to them, as the Lord appointed. And the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, these things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews. See, once again, the Messiah can speak for the Most High because he is his emissary. He is his head general. He is his right-hand man. He is his son. Literally, that is the best way to say it. A son who is obedient to his father. A father has no better man than that person. This is true. Verse 14. No, verse 13. And the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, these things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, send away my people, that they may serve me. For at this present time do I send forth all my plagues, or occurrences, into thine heart, and the heart of thine servants and of thy people, that thou mayest know that there is not another such as I in all the earth. Now notice how he distinguishes himself to being on the earth, and notice how before he made it clear that he is the God of the earth. We're not going to get carried away, but we're going to keep going forth. And this is the Messiah I'm talking about, who's speaking for himself now. Anyway. it's funny the ability that the Messiah has to speak for himself and for the Most High, and then for the angels to come as messengers for the Messiah, to be mediums. Man, it's so amazing. Anyway, it really is. It's something to behold if it can be beheld. Can you dig that? Verse 15, for now I will stretch forth my hand and smite thee and kill thy people, and thou shalt be consumed from off the earth. And for this purpose hast thou been preserved, that I might display in thee my strength, and that my name be published in all the earth. Stop right there. Before this, the fear of the Most High God was not known on the earth. He picked, I'm assuming, if not the strongest, at least the most famous and one of the most richest civilizations and nations on the earth to break down just like this for this cause and purpose. Let's go and let's keep reading. Verse 17, dost thou then yet exert thyself to hinder my people so as not to let them go? Behold, tomorrow at this hour I will rain a very great hail, such as not has been in Egypt from the time it was created until this day. Now then, hasten to gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the fields, for all the men and all the cattle, as many as shall be found in the fields, shall not enter into a house, and shall not enter into a house shall die. So if they don't go inside, they're out of there. And he's saying that, listen, even if you compare it from now until that present day of that time, even if it's from the creation till now, there has never been hell like that since. Come on, going forward. Verse 20. He said, he of the servants of Pharaoh that feared the word of the Lord gathered his cattle into the houses. And he that did not attend his mind to the word, and he that did not attend in his mind to the word of the Lord, left the cattle in the field. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out thine hand to heaven, and there shall be hail on all the land of Egypt, both on the men and on the cattle, and on all the herbage of the land. Once again, destroying the land and totally changing the landscape forever, y'all. And Moses stretched forth his hand to heaven, and the Lord sent thunderings and hail and fire, and the fire ran along upon the ground. And the Lord rained hail on all the land of Egypt. So listen, we're going to read it. So there was hail and flaming fire mingled with the hail, and the hail was very great, such as was not in Egypt from the time there was a nation upon it. Listen, such as was not in Egypt from the time there was a nation upon it. Listen, it has never happened like that since. And the Most High is saying, look, yo, boy, it's going down. Y'all remember when I'm going to skip forward and do a quick time travel for you. There's going to be some fighting with some giants in the book of Joshua, and a very similar thing happens. Oh my goodness. And do y'all remember Sodom and Gomorrah? Remember that place? Same thing happened there too. Let's go ahead and finish this out. Verse 24. So there was hail and flaming fire mingled with hail, and the hail was very great, such as was not in Egypt from the time there was a nation upon it. And the hail smote and all the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And the hail smote all in the grass in the field. And the hail broke in pieces on the trees in the field. Only in the land of Gesem, where the children of Israel were, the hail was not. And the Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Pray then for me to the Lord, and let him cause the thundering of God to cease, and the hail and the fire, and I will send you forth, and ye shall remain no longer. And Moses said to him, When I have departed from the city, I will stretch out my hands to the Lord, and the thundering shall cease, and the hail and the rain shall be no longer, that thou mayest know that the earth is the Lord's. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye have not feared the Lord. And the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was advanced, or in the ear, and the flax was seeding. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were late. And Moses went forth from Pharaoh out of the city, and stretched forth his hands to the Lord. And the thundering ceased, and the hail, and the rain did not dry up on the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thundering ceased, he continued to sin, and he hardened his heart, and the hearts of his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not send forth the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. Now let's stop right there and do a quick little recap before we end this video. Do y'all realize that that things that you would make your beer and other certain things, flax has a few different purposes. You can actually make flaxseed oil, and that has a multiple range of purposes. So let me not just say beer, but obviously the wheat and the rye, things that you can use for food. You can still use wheat and rye to make drinks and stuff like that with. You can make a rye beer, but I'm not going to get carried away with that. Note what is smitten in the storm. Note what is not. So note that these are the things that are able to come back later on. You see what I'm saying? But the barley, okay, and the flax, maybe not so much. And the land is totally devastated. Can't stress this enough. It is a devastation to the land what takes place. No, wherever Moses came from, the hail doesn't touch him as he's making his way to Pharaoh. He's not even worried about it. It's interesting, isn't it? And note also that he's not calling off the hail till he's up out of the city, because he knows if he calls it off, they mess around and snatch him up. I can't stress to you guys enough how each one of these things are not just, man, they're angels. He's using angels to do this. I know it seems absurd that hail and fire is an angel, but if an angel can be a star and an angel can be lightning, then why can't an angel be a piece of hail or be the spirit that powers the hail? Just something to throw out there. With that said, we're going to leave at chapter 10, and we'll pick right up at chapter 10. No need for me to do a mini recap. Spiritual Gumbo, out.